Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Supernatural Watch Along podcast. I am your host, Ryan, and I am joined by my brother, Kieran,
Hello.
and my brother from another mother, but not actually my brother, Ali.
Hey.
And today we are looking Supernatural, season 1, episode 10, Asylum, rated 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb. The synopsis for this one, let's hope it's better than the previous one. While investigating a haunted and abandoned asylum and rescuing two teenagers who ventured in, Sam and Dean become trapped with the spirits of those who had died in a riot decades ago, one of which was a doctor who causes extreme rage in his victims. That actually is a good synopsis. Well done, IMDb. Director was Guy Norman B, and this episode was written by Richard Tatum and Sarah Gamble. The episode stars, as always, Jared Padalecki as Sam Winchester, Jensen Ackles and as Dean Winchester, and guest stars Brooke Nevin as Catherine, Nicholas DeGasto as Gavin. I've seen him in a few things, but off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly what. Um, and Norman Armour as Dr. Sanford Ellicott. Um, and James Purcell as Dr. James Ellicott. Um, Kieran, what were your thoughts on this episode?
I like the episode. Good opening. I like the fact that police officers go in. One of
All
them
right,
goes home.
are you going to talk about the opening scene? You do it
So
then.
yeah, police officers go in to disturbance. And yeah, you don't really see anything. And then guy goes home and shoots his wife. Uh, and this obviously brings the brothers to investigate the place. I think it's a strong opening and overall very good episode.
Well, he shoots his wife and then himself. Now, we don't actually
Yeah.
see anyone get shot. We see him go home. We see him take the gun, and then it goes to
Flash out the
outside,
window.
and we hear
Yeah.
the two gunshots. And I was watching it with my partner, and I actually said, "Well, that's a murder suicide," and she said, "You don't know it's a suicide." And then it cuts away, and they're like, "He shot himself and his wife." I was like,
Heavily that, yeah.
so,
To be for
murder
to be
suicide.
fair, Tony's much more optimistic than you are, so she's like,
That's
"Maybe he just killed his wife."
That's all. That's awesome. And yeah, quite weird. So, but yeah, so yeah, good start to the episode. And we should point out that we don't recommend killing your spouse or yourself uh, with a gun. Uh,
Or just
I
search out
like, with anything. Anything. Don't do it, it's bad.
so Sam and Dean are looking for John, and Dean receives some coordinates uh, by a text message. That Sam questions whether or not they're from John because John's apparently not very good with technology. Not sure how much this tracks if John helped Dean build the homemade EMF, but I think Dean actually done that himself.
Self beeping at
Um,
himself at the Exemplar.
he did say Dean did tell us that it was him and his dad came up with the rock salt and the shotgun idea together, but I suppose that's not so technological. It's emptying a
Yeah.
shell and filling it
And
with rock salt.
we already know he's good with mechanical things as he used to be a mechanic, so
Yes.
being
So
able to refill shotgun shells isn't difficult.
no. Uh, but I feel like John can send a text message. I'm just saying I don't feel
Yeah.
Sam's questioning of whether John could send a text message. I'm not sure that
Reasonable.
tracks.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they follow said coordinates and speak to a cop, one of the guy's partners, and find out that he probably wasn't the murder suicide type.
of
Uh,
course not.
well,
You never are.
and so they start to look into things, look into the asylum, and find out about the South Wing. Um, and while they're in the asylum, they talk more about Sam's psychic abilities. So this is Dean still coming to terms with Sam's abilities. You can see Dean's a bit dismissive of it all, but worried. Ali, what's your thoughts on kind of these conversations that they're having? If you have thoughts on these conversations, what do you think about Sam's psychic abilities?
Nice little addition to having that ability in the show. I'm assuming down the road he gets more abilities as as we go. But yeah, they're okay. They're okay.
Okay. Yeah. What's your thoughts on Dean's take on it? If you have any at this moment, Dean seems a bit apprehensive about it all. Are you picking up on that?
I am picking up on that. It's almost as if it's not jealousy. That's probably the wrong word to use, but uh, it seems kind of crap that Sam's getting all these supernatural ability, getting all these supernatural abilities, and Dean's just getting kind of left in the doghouse about it.
That's an interesting take because I don't think Dean's envious. I think he's more worried for his brother than he is.
I mean, let's be fair. Spontaneous precognition can't be something good.
No,
You know, just like, oh, I'm spontaneously psychic. Has to be foreshadowing of something. I wonder what. I mean, I obviously know, but because I've seen it. But for people that don't know, I wonder what.
And if you do know, which I'm sure many people watching will, don't mention in the comments in case Ali checks the comments.
Yeah.
So,
Or at least
please-
write spoiler at the top of the comment so he
Yeah.
knows not to read it.
there likely will also be people who are tuning in who have not seen the show before. So if you haven't seen the show before, let us know your thoughts on how Dean is responding to this. So yeah, I'd be interested to because I will read the comments. So I'd be interested to hear. Now we kind of move on to get more information about what happened in the South Wing. Sam visit a shrink, and in order to get the information, has to talk to said shrink. Where we find out that there were riots in the South Ward. That shrink being an ancestor of the doctor who was in charge of the South Wing. So yeah, there were riots. People died. Bodies went missing. Bad times. Locked the wing. Haunted ever since. So, teens go into the asylum. Because of course they do.
of course.
Yeah.
You've
Let's
got
be
to.
honest. Yeah, if there's an abandoned asylum, there's no way you're not checking it out as
So, we grew up next
Yes,
to an
yeah, we did.
abandoned
We
World
did.
War II hospital. Bear in mind, building full of asbestos. And obviously, as it's illegal to go in, we never went in as it was illegal. Hypothetically, if we did go in, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Not
Hey.
saying we did.
I've
if-
known these guys for a long time. I know yous fucking went. I just fucking know that. I don't need to ask. I just know.
we're not saying one way or the other, but
Definitely
are
did use a
saying-
door to get in.
No, I believe that. I
Yeah.
totally believe that.
Did knock
yeah.
through a wall, but
so yeah, teens are going to do these things. If there's something like that nearby, there's no way they're not doing these things. You know, it's but yeah. So teens go in and they split up because the boy wants to investigate
And have his own horror movie.
and the girl is somewhat less inclined. He quickly changes his mind about having his own horror movie when a ghost who he accidentally mistakes for his girlfriend comes in for a quick make out session. And afterwards, she's like, well, that was no fun. And makes for the hills. This is when we kind of find out that the ghosts actually aren't hurting people. They're instead trying to communicate.
Mm.
and they are trying to tell people something, and it turns out they are trying to tell people 137. So, as Sam and Dean have split up, because of course they have, Sam gets call from Dean, or so he believes, where he is drawn away and is touched by the doctor. And we find out the doctor, the ghost of the doctor who once ran the ward. And we find out, of course, that this ghost, Dr. Alcott, can affect people with rage. Kind of rage that would make you go home and commit a murder-suicide. Or in this case, the kind of rage that would make Sam try to kill Dean. And Sam blows a hole in Dean's chest with, luckily, rock salt in the shotgun, or Dean would have been done. Dean then offers Sam a pistol so he can do the job properly. And Sam attempts to shoot Dean clean in the face. Well, the pistol was unloaded and Dean knocks Sam out. Now, I'm not counting how many times Dean's whipping Sam's ass in this series. Well, we've got a couple so far. All right, Kieran?
We do so far, yeah.
We've got a couple so far. So, anyway, Dean is able to burn the remains of Dr. Hulcott, which, for those of us counting the successful hunts of the brothers, we have Dean in first place at 5 enemies defeated, and Sam with 2 enemies defeated. And the episode then ends with John, Colin, and Sam answering. Kieran, what were your thoughts on this episode as a whole?
I really like this episode. I like the fact that essentially the ghost infects people with rage. I think it's quite exciting. I like the fact that infects Dean. They fight. Infects Sam, fights Dean, and it's it's a I think overall a good episode, and it shows the not sort of the underlying resentment that they both hold for each other. Sort of brings it to the forefront a bit, which is nice, and that carries through laterally in the season as well, which is still quite nice. So I think similar to the last episode, this one really sets up some of the interpersonal dynamic between Sam and Dean really well. So yeah, good episode.
Ali, what about yourself? What's your thoughts on it?
Took a couple of minutes for me for this episode to kick in for me, but once it did, overall I did like it. I didn't fully understand the spirits at first, obviously, but once with the conclusion of this episode, that it started to make more sense. Yeah, I liked it. It was a nice episode to sit and watch.
I thought it was nice that they done something a bit different with
Yeah,
the spirits, because so far, every time we've seen a ghost, with the exception of Mary in the previous episode, the ghost has been nefarious. Yeah. So for the majority of the ghosts just been trying to warn people, I think that was quite good. Whereas and then having this one ghost affecting people with rage, which we haven't seen yet. I quite enjoyed that. That was different, and I have to agree once again, just shows that the brothers have this kind of resentment for one another, despite despite very clearly caring for each other. They're they do have this underlying underlying tension between them. And actually, with that, seeing as we're talking about that, Ali, if you had to side with one brother right now, who would you side with, Sam or Dean?
Well, I saw Jensen Ackland's first from Smallville, so I'm purely for that reason I'm
Well,
siding with
we're
him.
not talking about who you've seen in previous shows.
Yeah. Well, I was a fan of his first, so
Okay,
I'm
that's just
siding.
silly. And that's just silly. Anyway, Keenan, are you a Sam or a Dean guy at this point in time?
I was on mute. Currently, at this point, I side with Sam.
I was like, is it my phone that's gone? I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, I've got 2 mutes, so it was muted on my
Here,
headset and
so
not
it's,
that.
At least it wasn't me this time.
so at this point,
Agreed.
you side with Sam.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll side with Dean at this point in time, to be fair. Okay, so as we know, we are now moving over to our tier list. Rage Ghost. Ali, where would you put our Rage Ghost?
B,
B?
actually. Yeah.
Okay. Not where
Right,
where
what-
B? High B,
Ah.
low B, mid B? What's your
Mid-B.
thought?
I would say
Mid
mid
B.
B. They weren't terrible, but at the same time, it wasn't fantastic. You know,
Above or below Demon or Hookman? Demon Hookman.
below Hookman, I would say.
Below Hookman, but above Demon.
Yeah.
So you talking
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Kieran? Where would you place him?
I like the premise, and I thought his delivery was quite good. I'd put him A's.
You'd put him A's.
Yeah.
High A, low A. Give me something to work with.
Probably above Peter.
Above Peter. So right, I think that would either put him there or there. So it is. You know what? I really like them as well. Yeah, I think that's where we're gonna go with it. I think
Yeah.
we're gonna put them on just behind the Wendigo, which puts them third in the season overall so far for villains. So that's a pretty high rating, I would say. Okay, Ali, what would you score this episode out of 10?
I'm gonna give it like the same rating as I gave the last one. I'm gonna give it a solid 7.
Solid 7. Okay, Kieran, what would you score this out of 10?
I give it an 8.5.
8.5. Okay. Well, I would give this an 8 out of 10, personally. Maybe a 7.5, actually. I'm going to drop to a 7.5 for this one. It's not, I don't think it's as good as the previous episode, but the previous episode I think was particularly good. That being said, I still think it's a very good episode, and I would absolutely watch the crap out of it if it was just on television. I totally would. I think it's a good one. And again, I think the dynamic between the two brothers is great in it. And with that said, that is us finished for this week. So come and join the hunt next week when we will be looking at season 1, episode 11, Scarecrow. And until then, we will hopefully see you next time. Take care.
Cheers.